Ladies and gentlemen, today I stand before you with a message that is not just for one nation, not just for one group of people, but for the whole world. For too long, others have chosen the stories told about us. They have picked the images, shaped the headlines, and crafted a world where we look weak, small, and invisible. But today, that ends. Today, we take back our voice, our truth, and our dignity. The world will finally hear us not through the filter of someone else's lens, but through our own words. We are not data on a screen. We are not characters in your documentaries. We are not props in your tragedies. We are human beings with history, courage, and pride. And today, we rise to remind the world of that truth. International media outlets France 24, CNN, BBC, and many others have not simply reported events. No, they have chosen what to show and what to hide. They have shaped opinions, influenced emotions, and rewritten reality to match their own views. You speak of freedom, you speak of honesty, but your stories often hide the truth instead of revealing it. You show Africa only when there is suffering. You show our people only when there is conflict. You show our streets only when there is chaos. But you never show our innovation, our art, our leaders, or our victories. You rarely show the intelligence of our youth, the strength of our families, the creativity of our minds. You focus on the worst, so the world forgets the best. This is not information, this is manipulation. And for years, perhaps for generations, you believed we would simply accept it. But hear this clearly, we are no longer asleep. We see the pattern, we see how narratives are twisted, we see how our success is ignored while our struggles are magnified. We see how the world is taught to fear us, pity us, or look down on us, never to stand beside us. But something powerful is happening, a shift, an awakening. People across Africa, across the diaspora, across the world, we are opening our eyes, we are understanding the game, we are refusing the story that paints us as helpless. We are refusing the voice that tries to speak on our behalf. We are refusing the version of reality that was never ours to begin with. So today, we speak loudly, calmly, clearly. We do not rise out of anger. We rise out of awareness. We rise out of dignity. We rise because truth deserves to be heard. Let the world see us as we truly are strong, conscious, capable, and rising. Let no one rewrite our identity again. Let no camera decide our worth. Let no headline define our destiny. Today is not just a response, it is a beginning. Ladies and gentlemen, now that we've uncovered the game of manipulation, it is time to speak about something even more dangerous, hypocrisy. Yes, the quiet hypocrisy that hides behind polished news studios and confident voices, the kind that smiles in public while twisting truth in private. These international media outlets speak endlessly about justice, about fairness, about transparency. They claim they defend democracy, they claim they protect freedom, but their actions, their choices, and their silence tell another story, a story they hope no one notices. When something happens in Europe or America, they treat it with care. They analyze every angle, they show compassion, they offer context. Even in chaos, they find a way to soften the blow, to explain, to justify. But when it comes to Africa, when it comes to black nations, everything changes. Suddenly, every problem becomes a catastrophe. Every struggle becomes proof. Every event becomes a symbol of failure. Every voice is dismissed. Every context erased. Every question ignored. The same act that is praised in the West is condemned here. The same movement that is called brave in one country is labeled dangerous in ours. The same decision that is celebrated as independent elsewhere is called unstable when we make it. Why? Because their cameras don't just record, they judge. Their headlines don't just inform, they influence. Their reports don't just explain, they shape how the world sees us. When African nations make sovereign decisions, the media is quick to label them with harsh words. When conflicts happen, you show only the flames, never the causes. When we rise, you stay silent. When we fall, you rush to the scene. This is not coincidence. This is not mistake. This is hypocrisy. You say you defend human rights, but you rarely defend ours. You say you support democracy, but you question ours before it begins. You say you fight oppression, but ignore when we experience it. Your reports claim neutrality, but your words paint judgment. Your so-called analysis becomes a quiet attack, a way to frame us as incapable, unstable, or unworthy of respect. But ladies and gentlemen, let this be heard clearly. We are no longer accepting double standards. We are no longer swallowing stories written by those who do not understand our reality. We are no longer letting others decide what our truth should look like. Eyes all over the continent and all over the diaspora are watching. People are learning. Minds are awakening. The mask of hypocrisy is cracking, and the world is beginning to see what lies behind it. To the international media, hear this. You cannot preach fairness while practicing bias. You cannot talk about equality while showing inequality. You cannot call yourselves the voice of the world while silencing ours. Your hypocrisy is no longer hidden. It is visible, it is known, and it will be challenged. Because we are awake. We see the pattern. And we will no longer remain quiet. Ladies and gentlemen, after exposing manipulation and hypocrisy, we must now confront something even darker, the quiet cruelty that often hides behind global coverage of our nations and our people. Yes, cruelty. Because when a story is told in a way that destroys dignity, when images are chosen to shame a people, when victories are ignored but failures are repeated, that is not journalism. That is harm. For years, international media outlets have spoken about our countries as if we were trapped in chaos, as if we were living on the edge of collapse every single day. They do not simply show problems, they magnify them. They highlight every crack, every mistake, every moment of struggle, until the world begins to believe that this is all we are. But look closely at how they do it. They show violence without showing the roots. They show conflict without showing the cause. They show hunger without showing the systems that created it. They show our wounds but never our healing. And when you repeatedly portray a people as broken, the world starts to treat them as broken. That is cruelty, a subtle, polished, professional cruelty, delivered through screens and headlines. These outlets describe African nations as unstable, as if we cannot govern ourselves. They talk about our leaders only when there's scandal. They talk about our citizens only when there's suffering. They talk about our youth only when there's desperation. Where are the stories of our inventors? Where are the stories of our scientists? Where are the stories of our artists, our entrepreneurs, our peacekeepers, our builders? Where are the stories of hope? They exist, but they are rarely shown, because positivity about Africa does not sell the same way drama does. And so, again and again, the world is fed a one-sided view of who we are. This is not innocent. This is not accidental. This is a pattern that shapes how others treat us and even how we sometimes see ourselves. But today, we say enough. We refuse to allow our image to be shaped by those who do not understand our lives. We refuse to be defined by stories written to belittle us. We refuse to let our children grow up seeing only negative reflections of themselves on international screens. Every time they try to reduce us, we will rise. Every time they try to silence us, we will speak louder. Every time they try to tell our story, we will rewrite it ourselves. Because our people are not weak. Our nations are not doomed. Our identity is not a headline for entertainment. We carry strength that cannot be erased. We carry culture that echoes through time. We carry resilience that has survived centuries. And we carry hope that grows even in the hardest soil. To the media that chooses cruelty over truth, know this. Your words no longer break us. Your narratives no longer own us. Your stories no longer define us. We are reclaiming our image, our pride, and our place in the world. And no amount of negativity can stop a people who have decided to stand tall. Ladies and gentlemen, after speaking about manipulation, hypocrisy, and the cruelty that has shaped how the world sees us, it is time to speak about something stronger than all of these combined: our dignity and our resistance. Because no matter how many stories have been twisted, no matter how many headlines have been designed to weaken our image, there is something the world could never erase: the unbreakable dignity of our people. Our dignity is not a gift. It is not a favor. It is not something that can be taken away by a camera or a journalist. It lives inside us. It is the fire that keeps us moving, the pride that keeps us rising, and the strength that has carried us through challenges many other nations could never imagine. International media can try to define us, but they cannot decide who we are. And this brings us to resistance, not just resistance in the form of struggle or protest, but resistance in its purest form, the refusal to accept a lie, the refusal to allow others to shape our self-worth, the refusal to let our identity be written by someone else's hand. Resistance starts in the mind. It starts with awareness.